Could Black Flash explain why curse techniques exist in Jujutsu Kaisen? Let's talk about it. So, the origins of curse techniques are something that's never really been explored in this story. It's just a fundamental fact of this world. You're either born with a technique or you're not. And those that are, all we know is that it's literally engraved in your body, in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. And recently we learned some really interesting things about Black Flash, specifically that it can rewire your brain, granting you new paths to Jujutsu, be it reverse curse technique, domain expansion, who knows what else, right? So could this same phenomena be responsible for the original curse techniques? Because remember, you don't need a curse technique to perform Black Flash. All you need is cursed energy, and presumably cursed energy has always existed in the world of JJK. So if there ever was a time before curse techniques, then perhaps they sprung up when these proto-sorcerers performed Black Flash and literally rewired their brains. Now, would they have done this consciously? I doubt it if we're talking about the originators here, but we at least now know that this can literally rewire your brain, and we know curse techniques are engraved in the brain. And to play devil's advocate for a second, I'm sure some of you are saying, well, if this is how it works, then why aren't we seeing curse techniques spontaneously pop up all of the time? And I would argue that it's because the opportunity for that is so extremely rare. Just think about sorcerers that are even capable of performing a Black Flash. It is the most elite of the elite, and even then it is rare. This is not something that can be done at will. It has to happen when you're just in the zone, in the flow state, right? So consider of the grand pool of sorcerers to begin with, which is already a fraction of the population, but not only sorcerers, but sorcerers skilled enough to actually do this. And then sorcerers that are skilled enough to do that don't already have a curse technique. That is the segment of the population that could potentially spawn one like this, right? And we are talking like 0.0000001%. I'm pulling that out of nowhere, but it's probably even worse than that. So I think that could explain why this isn't a phenomena that's just happening all the time. Now, honestly, I don't expect this to be some reveal or really even Gege to spend any time talking about the origins of curse techniques at this point. We're so close to the end of the story, I just don't think it's really going to come up. But I thought this was a really cool connection and basically serves as an interesting headcanon, if nothing else, and I wanted to get y'all's opinion on this. Prior to this, I just chalked it up to maybe some ancient binding vows or something along that line that led to, some people having curse techniques, some clans having curse techniques, while other people don't, right? But this Black Flash information just is really cool and makes a lot of sense to me. And to play devil's advocate again, you might be saying, okay, what if that's all true? How do you explain hereditary techniques? How are these techniques being passed down generation to generation if it's just a change somebody made in their brain? Well, we know that changes in the brain can literally lead to revamped DNA, so that would make it potentially heritable. So do I really think Gege knows this unless he's an extreme science nerd? Of course not, but it is just interesting to think about. And then finally today we got this question from John, who wants to know if the rewiring of the brain from Black Flash could be responsible for physiological changes such as Gojo's 6 eyes. And certainly in the realm of fiction, the realm of manga and anime especially, I don't see why not. That makes sense to me, kind of along the same lines that we've been talking about in this video. However, I will say that I think something like the curse technique would be more likely because it's slightly more grounded in reality, and I know that's even silly to say when we're talking about things like this, but because the curse technique is engraved on the brain, then changing the brain could grant you access to that, right? But a physical trait is not something that's going to be changed by your brain chemistry or your brain physiology, if that makes sense. For example, if I go under the scalpel and a doctor is messing around in there, there's no chance that I'm just going to grow a third arm, right? Because my physical being is not going to be dictated by what's in my brain at this point. So for that reason, which again is ridiculous to even get in the weeds on when we're talking about fiction, but for that reason, I think it's slightly less likely than a curse technique, but I do think it's possible. Anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for this one. Can't wait to hear your reactions in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.